The storm had raged for 3 days over the ice plains of Kalwanenvi, howling like a living beast. Buried beneath the snow, the Volkari pack huddled in silence, mourning. Their cubs were gone, taken by the blizzard or worse, by the cold. The pack was dying, and even their leader, Taven, had no strength left to howl. Then, through the storm's endless white, a dark shape appeared. 2 legs, 2 arms, small, fragile, a human, and in its arms something moved. The lost children. The Volkari were a warrior species, part wolf, part reptile, bred in the frozen north. No creature had ever dared to enter their territory, especially not a lone off-worlder. When the humans stumbled into their den, half frozen and bleeding, Taven lunged to strike. Then he froze. The human's arms trembled, but he refused to drop what he carried. Wrapped in his coat were 2 tiny shapes, shivering but alive. The missing cubs. They were buried near the cliffs. The human whispered, voice raw. I heard them crying through the wind. The pack stared in disbelief. No outsider had ever brought life back into their den. The human who didn't run. The human collapsed. Frostbitten fingers still clutched the cubs. He didn't let go, even as his body went limp. Taven sniffed cautiously. Fear, pain, exhaustion, but no deceit. The pack gathered close. Their healer, Sakri, tilted her head. His dying. Let him, growled one of the hunters. His prey, not kin. He saved the young, Taven replied quietly. He earns breath. And so, for the first time in Volkari history, a human slept in their den. Fire and fur. The pack didn't understand humans. Their soft skin, their strange noises, their fragile bodies, it all made no sense. But the human, whose name they learned was Elias, refused to die. He built a small fire inside the ice cave, using scraps of metal and rock. The flames flickered, and the pack growled at it in alarm. It won't hurt you, Elias said softly. It helps you live. Within hours, the den was warmer than it had been in years. The cubs, who had nearly frozen, whimpered back to life. Taven watched Elias closely. This was not strength of fang or claw. This was something else, something terrifying in its quiet power. The language of kindness. The Volkari had no word for thank you. In their culture, loyalty was earned through battle, not mercy. Yet when Elias offered food to the cubs before himself, the pack began to feel something they had no name for. Each day, he healed, moved, helped. He fixed their cracked tools, mended hides, even crafted traps that caught prey more efficiently. When asked why, he simply said, "It's what humans do." Sakri tilted her head. "Even for those not your kin." "Especially for them," he smiled. "The outsiders hunt." When the next storm hit, supplies ran low. The Volkari prepared to hunt, but Elias insisted on joining. Taven laughed. "You can't run in snow." "I don't have to," Elias replied, showing a small rifle. "I just need a clear line of sight." The pack didn't believe him until the hunt began. When the ice beast roared from the ridge, the humans' weapons spoke with thunder. 1 clean shot, 1 kill. The pack froze in shock. Their claws, built for ripping and tearing, seemed primitive next to this quiet, controlled death. Taven looked at Elias with new eyes. "You kill like a storm," he said. "No," Elias answered. "I kill so the cubs don't have to." The storm of blood. Weeks passed. The pack grew stronger. Then the Krell came. The Krell were raiders, massive reptilian creatures that enslaved or devoured weaker species. They had followed the scent of fire and blood to the Volkari den. The first attack came at dawn. Screams echoed through the ice. Elias grabbed his weapon and ran into the snow without hesitation. Taven roared, "You'll die, human!" "Then I'll die loud enough for the cubs to hear hope." Elias shouted back. The battle for the den. The Krell descended in numbers. The Volcari fought fiercely, but the enemy was overwhelming. Elias took position on a ridge, firing relentlessly. Each shot was perfect. When the rifle overheated, he used his hands, grabbing burning fragments of metal to hurl into the attackers' faces. He bled, screamed, and kept fighting. When a Krell brute struck him down, Ta-Ven saw something impossible. Elias crawling forward, shielding the cubs with his broken body. That moment ignited something ancient in the Volcari soul. They roared as one, 10 warriors moving like a storm of fangs and fury. By dusk, the snow was red. The aftermath. When the silence fell, only 3 Volcari and the human remained alive. Elias lay in the snow, chest barely rising. Ta-Ven knelt beside him. Why? You could have run. Because someone has to stand, Elias whispered, smiling faintly. Someone always does. The pack carried him back to the den. They treated his wounds with every remedy they knew. For 3 days, he didn't wake. On the 4th, when the sun broke through the ice clouds, he opened his eyes. The cubs were sleeping beside him. The human's legacy. Months later, the snow melted for the first time in generations. The Volcari called it Elias Thor. Under his guidance, they learned to forge, to build, to survive beyond instinct. They learned what it meant to protect, not just their own, but all who shared the cold. When Terran rescue ships finally arrived, the Volcari gathered outside the den to watch him go. Ta-Ven approached and bowed, something no Volcari had ever done to an outsider. You have pack here, human. Always. Elias smiled. And you have family on Oath. Then he turned and walked back into the snow. Epilogue. The legend of the Snowblood. Centuries later, the Volcari still tell stories of the Snowblood, the human who came in a storm and gave them back their future. In the old tongue, his name became myth. Elias of the Fire Heart, the warmth bringer, the one who heard the cry of cubs. And when blizzards howl across Kelwyn-NV, the pack still raise their heads and whisper to the wind. The human walks with us.